Hey, thanks for checking out my video. And here I am wondering, have you ever wished you had an inexpensive, sturdy, flexible, and reliable system for carrying your wet plein air panels after a painting session? Well, what I'm about to show you is how I created this little binder style plein air wet panel carrier. I've done some preliminary tests in the field with it. It works pretty well. And what's really interesting is I was able to assemble it in less than an hour for a cost of less than 50 bucks. Now, just by watching this little segment where I'm actually putting my wet panels away for the day as I get ready to hike back after a couple hours of painting early in the morning, you can see that these panels are just separated within this binder, which kind of looks like a trapper keeper. If you're like me, child of the 80s, those were pretty popular way back in the day. And here's how I assembled this puppy. We actually just used some basic materials. As you saw, a large two-ring accounting binder, which happens to be 11.5 by 10-inch binder. I used some self-adhesive Velcro tape, some disc magnets, which I ordered online, some leftover 5/8 birch panels, and I cut 3 panels down to 10 inches by 8 inches. Also used 5/8 inch birch panel strips, which were 1 inch by 10 inch. I needed 4 of those, and then an additional 8 strips that were 1 inch by 2.5 inches, some wood glue, screws, and duct tape. And don't worry, I'm going to put a little materials list and, when possible, links to the actual items that I ordered online in the notes for this video. But I'm actually going to take you through the whole process, regular speed, so you can see me here in the backyard. Normally I would try to do this without using any power tools, but I felt like I'd give myself a little bit of a better chance of cutting some straight lines by using a circular saw. So I will use a circular saw and a screw gun. You will also need a tape measure, a pencil, some sandpaper, and a screw gun if you have it, along with a drill bit that will allow you to cut a hole in or drill a hole in the panels that will fit your particular binder's rings. Whether you use a 2-ring or a 3-ring binder, it probably doesn't matter, but you do want one that's quite large. I would say with a binding that's at least 2 inches wide or wider. So here I go. I'm just going to finish up cutting down my panels that I'm going to use. I should note that if you have a strong preference against using this type of surface or substrate that I'm using for my oil paintings, which are just sheets of 6-inch by 8-inch primed linen, which I tape into place. I actually like the way that process works for me. The actual masking tape or painter's tape that I use to affix the linen sheets to my board creates a nice little border, and I like how that looks, and I like how it feels painting on this surface. I imagine there's ways with which you can incorporate other methods, and I also believe this would work for watercolorists that want to work in the field or use other water-soluble paints as well. Just by taping whatever surface you're painting on to these boards, which lock into the binder with this particular method. So here we go. I'm just cutting my last panel, and I guess it's a little bit of a miracle if I don't hurt myself. A left-hander working in a right-hander's world is never easy. I'm sure some of you can appreciate that as well. But I have my 3 panels ready to go, and now I'll move on to a little bit of cleanup, some sanding, and I'll drill my holes. Close enough. Now here you can get the gist of the idea. These panels will lock into this 2-ring accounting binder, and my linen will be affixed to these panels. So they're it's very unlikely that they'll fall out. They should be pretty secure. I'm going to take some additional measures. I will put some dividers on these panels. In addition to that, I'm going to use some strong magnets to help lock the bottom part of the panels together to avoid having them slide around a lot and potentially smudge my work. And in addition to that, I'll affix some Velcro on the outside of the binder so it's less likely to swing open while hiking. So I'm just sanding. I want to get some of the rough edges off, make sure the surface that I'm going to affix my linen to is as smooth as possible. Okay, now time to affix our dividers to our panels. Now these dividers, which are going to be made up of the 5/8 inches strips of birch panel, are just going to provide some additional security and separation between and amongst the panels and the paintings that I might complete in the field. There's been several times where I've been able to wrap up a painting within my allotted time, thinking I have enough time to start another one, and I just haven't taken that step in my plein air painting practice because I haven't had a panel carrier that would allow me to do that. In addition to that, I'm also, usually a little frustrated by the experience of carrying a single panel along with my pack and other painting gear. So when this is all finished up, when it's all said and done, I'm hopeful that it'll make that whole process a lot easier, give me the opportunity to have much more enjoyable hikes back to my car or my home, and also get some sessions down where I have multiple paintings that I complete, which I find pretty exciting. Today I'm going to use Gorilla Glue. It's a wood glue, and you'll see some of the process items here, because this is my first time creating one of these panel carriers, and some of my gear requires a little TLC in order to actually be able to use it. For example, in this case, my tube of glue was completely dried, and I wasn't able to puncture the glue tube on the normal nozzle end. So I actually had to pierce the tube itself and squirt glue out toward the bottom of the tube. A little unconventional, but it works. And I was a little less concerned about the potential of creating, kind of a messier presentation, because I consider this a prototype. I'm hopeful that it'll work well. I'll take some lessons away from it for some potential improvements, and maybe I'll make some additional panel carriers with those lessons incorporated into them so they work even better in the future. Right now, I'm affixing the little 5/8 strip of birch panel toward the bottom of the panel that'll be inserted into the panel carrier and hold my linen or whatever painting surface that I'm using. I do paint in watercolor, pastel, casein, and gouache sometimes as well, so I do plan on using this for all of those mediums. For now, though, I'm focusing on oil painting just because I'm doing a lot of that here in the summer months. And I'm going to go ahead and affix these to the bottom part of each of my 3 panels. The one panel in the middle will get this treatment on both sides. My thought process here is a little extra airflow, a little extra protection. It may also allow for the capacity to hold as many as 4 paintings at once. In a pinch, if that were to happen, if that need were ever to arise, I could probably do that by having that middle panel have these protective strips on both sides of the panel. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on with this part of the process, and then we'll move on to adding the magnets. Oh, shoot. Yikes. And before we move on to adding the magnets, as you see here, also including the shorter 5/8 birch panel strips that are about 2.5 inches long, to the upper part of the sides of each panel. They're almost alongside of the holes for the binder rings. I'm going to do this on both sides, the left and the right, and then for that middle panel it'll be on the back and the front as well. And that's why we need a total of 8 of these strips. Just going to provide some additional protection, ensure that these panels stay separated no matter what kind of trail I'm on, whether or not I drop the panel carrier or if it shifts around in my truck or my trunk of my car. I want to make sure that these paintings don't smudge. If I can at all possible, make sure that that doesn't happen. And I think this extra separator between these panels toward the top part of the panel will certainly help us accomplish that. Okay, now I'm going to use these disc magnets. You kind of caught a glimpse of it there. I know it's off screen. I apologize for that. You'll get plenty of opportunities to view these, how they look. And again, I'll put links in the show notes with links to the specific products that I used. But these are magnets that claim to be able to support up to 16 pounds. One lesson that I've learned already is I might use a slightly weaker magnet, because I found that sometimes it is quite difficult to separate the panels where these magnets are connecting. I like the security, but I do want to make it just a little bit easier to turn the pages or turn the panels, if you will. I chose these because I thought it might be helpful and add additional stability and durability. They give us the opportunity to drive a screw through the magnet itself. And I'm actually utilizing screws that are just the right length so they don't poke through the back side of the panel. And I'll include a link to those in the show notes as well. And then you'll get a sense here for what this is going to look like. We're gonna line up, offset the installation of these magnets, but make sure that they line up where the bottom of the panels meet amongst the three panels. The intention here is to make sure that while on a hike, the Velcro strip fails, if it comes undone, or if the panel carrier falls down a cliff and it should break open. These panels will still be stuck together toward the bottom. They won't swing back and forth because these magnets will connect the bottom of the panels along the way. So right now I have a couple of them installed. I'm going to keep working through this process, and then I think you'll get a real good sense for how this is going to come together in just a few.
Strong, huh? Mess that up. Okay. Oh. There. Staggered. Okay, so this. Little ant infestation. I messed up again. Excuse it. I don't know why I keep doing that. Flat one. Hopefully that's not stripped. Probably is, but hopefully not. Okay. Let this dry a little bit.
Now, this is a reclaimed accounting binder that I'm using, so there is some damage. There's some wear and tear, normal wear and tear. So I'm thinking, while I'm going to wait for my panels to dry, the glue that is to dry, I'm going to reinforce my binder with some duct tape in some of the areas where maybe the binding has been crushed a little bit or even torn or broken. In addition to that, I'll start experimenting with ideas for building a handle just to make this panel carrier easy to carry. I want a nice, easy, convenient handle, one that perhaps maybe will afford me the opportunity to use clips and other devices to clip this to a backpack if need be. So I'm going to start working with duct tape. It's a pretty reliable, durable piece of material that'll allow me to do that sort of thing. I've used it in the past for similar projects. It might not be the prettiest thing, but in this case, I'm thinking function over form. Over time, we can improve upon this prototype, and if we wish to, but I just really want something that's going to work for me and not cost me